This is Between Hooksets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the fishing crew. Can I get a big yeehaw?
It looks like you continue that hook set from this afternoon. You're out in the ice. It's
Yeah, I'm like 23 minutes between hook sets. I got home just in time, like 10 minutes left to try to get things ready to roll. And I thought, well, I hope I don't make us late, but if I do, oh well. I was catching fish.
Yeah, well, we had a little technical difficulties tonight to get connected, some audio stuff. So, but it's going to be a fun show. A little behind, but hey, that's the benefit of being live and what we do. We can roll with it. So
yeah, fashionably late.
We got like we said last week, we try to stay relevant, and we're in the middle of the best coyote hunting season. Time of year to hunt coyotes, and our guests tonight are two guys that have been doing this for quite some time. Anybody in the coyote world knows their name. So they are very decorated in that world. They've changed a lot of things in the industry on how they do tournaments. And I mean, I running the coyote tournaments with the Keels, like I do with the Predator Hunter Association, you fear these names when they sign up. So it's going to be a lot of fun to have a chat with these boys tonight. And I guess might as well bring them in.
Yeah.
We got Dakota. How's it going, guys? We got Dakota and Lonnie from the Cheyenne River Predator Hunter. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing all right.
So I heard Longbrake, and I'm like, we're talking rodeo tonight? Because I'm sorry, but Longbrake's pretty synonymous with rodeo, right? Got to admit that. Right off the bat, but no, we're going to talk predator hunting, which is great because that's been on the tip of a lot of people's tongues. I was over at Kiergaard Sports in Lake Benton, and they were all about the optics and all about predator hunting. Like, hey, we're going to talk that on Wednesday night. So, kind of excited to have a little hump day conversation about the predators. I honestly, I want to start this whole thing out with this picture because I want to know the story. Like, that cat is bigger than you are, and Dakota, I don't think you're a little fella.
So a few years ago, me and my brother actually drugged me along with him. His wife bought him a chance to go get a cat out in Montana, and he wouldn't take no for an answer, and he wasn't going to go by himself. And it took a little arm jerking, but that was the result of that. So
wow, I'm gonna put it up there again. Isn't that something? So how big was that? Was it a male?
Yep, it was a male. He was just a good cat. He weighed about 130 pounds.
Really? Oh, he just looks so much bigger than that, but he's a nice cat. They are majestic. I had one parallel us when we were out in Colorado elk hunting, and it was the coolest thing. Kind of scary because we left all the guns and the scabbards and the pack horses, and I said, shouldn't somebody have something along just in case? But it wasn't a big deal. But I would love to see one in my backyard in a tree from a distance because they're so cool looking, but pretty scary. So nice bag there. That's just absolutely fantastic. No, you guys belong to or have created this group, Cheyenne River Predator Hunters and the Coyote Culture. I think, maybe explain both of those. So for those that don't know and understand and haven't watched yet, what that's all about.
You want it, Dakota? Yeah, I can go. So I think in 2014, Dakota and I, we had been hunting coyotes quite a bit before that. But really in 2014, we were really getting kind of into filming our hunts. And we started out, like, well, shoot, I think we can, make some video, off this stuff, and just kind of took off from there. So we came out with the first thing we did, we came out with the DVD, which was called Calling the 605. And it was just a bunch of, it was kind of a scrambled deal, but it was some of our better hunts. And that's kind of how it all began. But I guess even a step further back from that was the Varmint Hunters Association at that time in Fort Pierce, South Dakota. They had started a video coyote calling contest, and that's that kind of got us lured into doing all the filming and whatnot.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
It's an interesting ordeal. Obviously, you'd never had any experience in the digital world and the filming and all that. Quite a learning curve, isn't it?
it is, and if you ask our editor, we're not very good at it, So I mean, it's always we're always learning, and he's kind of a big film guy, and so it's we're constantly trying to get better in kind of all aspects of it.
Well, and the other side of it is what people don't understand is, talking to Chad, it's not easy because you're in brutal conditions, cold weather, windy, snowy, crappy conditions when you're coyote hunting a lot of times, and just keeping the equipment running is a challenge.
It is, yeah.
I mean, you can't just go out with a Walmart camera and get this stuff done. So, I mean, I don't think people, they think they can do that, but when it comes down to it, to get the level of stuff you guys are doing, you've got some equipment invested. You guys have not only done the equipment investment, but you've taken the time to learn what you got to do to make the camera stay up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we started probably with, I think we started with my grandma's camcorder and just kind of, decided that wasn't going to work and started freehanding, which there's nothing wrong with freehand filming, and then, then we got into tripods and better cameras. And I mean, just kind of, all evolved from there. And, really we're still kind of using maybe some older stuff from what they have now, but it does pretty good job. And, video editing nowadays, they can do some pretty amazing stuff with about anything.
Maybe some of that old equipment kind of adds to the mystique of the whole deal anyway. You look at some of that older stuff, like take, for instance, radio with playing the old vinyl records. That sounded way better than these new fangled, when we were playing CDs or the MP3s and stuff like that. So some of that old video equipment is fun to watch.
Yeah.
So talk about coyote culture. I found it on YouTube. I was looking for it on Facebook, but you guys are actually under the Cheyenne predator or Cheyenne River predator hunters, right?
Yeah. Yep. And our group is called Cheyenne River Predator Hunters. We are in our 6th season now of coyote culture. Again, it was just a kind of a step in the process of this, of graduating to short clips to, hey, let's try to put a show together. And here we are now in our 6th season of coyote culture.
So you can get that on what I believe Carbon TV and YouTube, and where else can people check out coyote culture?
That's mainly the 2 spots it's on. We have our Facebook page, but both of them advertise it back to YouTube or back to Carbon TV.
Okay.
I'll just show the 2 logos here real quick.
You guys, you just took a passion and turned it into, a business in sense. And then you guys also rolled into doing some tournaments and doing video tournaments and some, higher end tournaments out there that you guys do. Go through the evolution of what when you started hunting coyote tournaments to what you're seeing nowadays with coyote tournaments.
Yeah, probably when we started, I think it was, I don't know how to say this. It really has changed. I mean, when we first started hunting, it was probably a lot of, let's go make a, quick set here and there. And if we see one out the window, we'll probably try to shoot at it or whatever. And, maybe not as serious. Well, it seems like now, it's really evolved. There's, we had 3 video hunts here in South Dakota. Now we're down to I believe, but, those are probably, in my opinion, those are the best of the best callers. And not to say that the other contests aren't good, but I mean, the video camera doesn't lie, you're gonna get what you get. And, it like this last weekend, it took 3 teams with 9 coyotes to, they all had 9 coyotes and they were, in a weight battle then. So, I mean, it's tough. And, and those were in pretty brutal conditions. It wasn't a very nice day. I mean, there was, pretty windy, and I think that in the morning it was well below zero, well below 10 below zero, and so I mean it's really evolved and seemed like like I said back in the day there's a lot of probably window hunting and stuff, and now there's actually evolved into a lot more actually coyote calling and really good coyote callers anymore. There's when I wouldn't even put us up at the top of that. I mean there's a lot better coyote callers than us and guys that do it quite a bit more than us that are pretty dang hard to beat.
Well, I can tell you guys when when you roll into the tournament, if it's pretty close that one of you names is going to be at the top between your group of guys. It's pretty impressive what you guys do, and you go out there and like you said, the coyote. Explain a video contest for people that may not know what a coyote contest is, or even may not know what a video contest is. Explain the difference between the two contests for people that might not know.
So just a normal old coyote calling contest doesn't have any video cameras on it. So there's a set of rules, and callers of teams of either generally 2 or 3 go out and call coyotes all day long, and then come back after that. In a video contest, you are required to have a video camera and videotape them, and that adds a whole new aspect to calling coyotes. It's a pretty good evolution in the fact that I think we've actually become better coyote callers because we've been using the camera. It just, it takes a little bit longer to get that camera set up and that camera ready and on the coyote before that shooter can go and kill one. You learn coyote mannerisms, and you learn to be patient, and you learn to watch and learn what them coyotes are going to do. And it adds a whole nother dynamic, but I think it's a good deal.
So with that, so for people that may be watching, because we draw a lot of it, people that different genres of life and what they do, coyotes are not easy. They are tricky animals. So you got to have a good hide. So not only you're hiding, a lot of your contests are 2 guys gunning we got Kevin Tiger chiming in here. You got 2 guys that are hunting, but you got a camera guy. So it takes a hide for your camera guy as well. I mean, I've done it a little bit with Chad, but there's people think you just grab a call and go out. That is not it at all. And so you got to hide your camera guy. You got to hide the extra equipment out there. I mean, you're doing a lot more than just going out there and sitting by a rock and calling the coyote.
Yeah, you dang sure gotta. I mean, I think a lot of anymore, everybody's pretty prepared on where you're gonna go and where you're gonna sit, and kind of accommodating to that. But it dang sure, especially in South Dakota. I mean, South Dakota's probably pretty unique. Not all parts of South Dakota, but in western South Dakota, I mean, we're pretty unique where it's wide open calling. I mean, a lot of time you're calling a dry creek bottom or a walkout creek or something like that, and I mean, there's nothing but prairie for miles, and you wouldn't even think there'd be a coyote out there, but that's where they hang out. And we run pretty decent rifles, or probably the best in our opinion, but and that's kind of what they're equipped for. So I mean, we can make some longer shots and whatnot, but you're definitely trying to get well hid, and like you said, just you got 3 guys to hide. But I think anymore, a lot of people probably have their spots picked out and where you're going to sit and whatnot. But yeah, it's dang sure one more challenge.
But you do that, and then like you said, you've got to wait for that coyote, because in the filming contest, the dog counts for it when it's on camera, right? Explain how that is, because in a normal contest, it's most dogs brought in, and then tiebreaker goes to weight. But the video contest is something even more.
Yeah, it's still probably the same same concept. It's the most coyotes are going to win, but you have to have them on video. And so, for instance, if you shoot a coyote on a hilltop and you cannot see that coyote go down, clearly, and he's not laying there in the camera, a lot of the contests that we go to are requiring you to go up there and show that coyote, is is dead. So I mean, it's not like a regular contest where, all right, I hit that one and we can look for him later or whatever. I mean, you got to leave the camera running. You can't break film. So you got to go up there, show him that he's dead. And sometimes there's some tracking involved or whatnot. And I mean, it's a lot different. You don't know what it's like until you probably did it or you watched, one of our videos or something. I mean, it's just, it's a pretty cool way to have a coyote calling contest.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
big,
I'd
a big
agree.
thing you touched on was the setup, and we've done this enough now, we're pretty used to it, but where you sit, how you hide, what's behind you to break up your silhouettes, how close the cameraman is to the shooters. I mean, all of that comes into play. Your shooter has to be able to communicate with your cameraman, and vice versa. The cameraman has to give the shooter the go ahead, hey, I'm on him, and hey, I could shoot him. So if you set 20 yards apart, on both sides of a knob, looking down two different draws, those kind of sets kind of go away when you're in these video contests. So it definitely takes some planning. It definitely takes some getting used to, but yeah, setup is absolutely important in these things.
So how close is a confidence shot or a chip shot if you want to steal from golf or the NFL? I don't want to compare you to an NFL kicker though. But Gary Anderson. But no, I just thinking about it, 100 yards, 150, 200. I sit out in Dewey County and I start scoping deer and I get out the rangefinder and I'm thinking, oh, that's maybe 350, 450 yards. No, my my rangefinder goes to 750 and it's way beyond that. And so I'm looking at deer a mile away. So what's a short shot, easy shot, confident shot, and what's a long range shot for you guys?
I'd probably say, we're just like anybody else. We like them close. I mean, but I'd say anything, 300 in, probably pretty confident that we can probably kill them. And, you get out there to, anything past 5. I mean, we're not shooting, like a match rifle or anything like that. So, I mean, we don't really have time to, get environmentals either a lot of the time. So so, I mean, I do carry a Kestrel with me, but I'd say, probably 500 plus is probably what we consider long range in coyote calling. I mean, my furthest shot's 830 on a coyote. I'm not sure what Dakota's is, but it's, I mean, I've come really close to some further than that, but that's my furthest shot. And I know a lot of people who shot them at 1,000, and you're talking like probably a 6-inch target, so everything's got to be perfect. And when you're shooting fast guns with, fast coyote guns, they're not always, the Cadillacs. So I mean, they're gonna break down or or whatever. They're not gonna be exactly the same every time. So you kind of got to fight that too. What's
your confidence caliber then?
So I run some 6mm. I run a 243 Ackley and then a 6 PRC, and that and along with some other things. But for the contest gun, those are kind of the two I run, and they're pretty dang good.
Okay, Dakota.
So my longest shot that I've got on a coyote is 770 yards. Confidently, right? I would say now it's probably 300 yards and in. Lonnie and I and Derek Hunter is our other partner, and Oren Lesmeister. We're all shooting custom rifles now from TS Custom Rifles. That has greatly changed the game of how far we can reach out and hit coyotes. With bipods on them now and shooting them good guns and going to the range. If we miss a 400-yard coyote, I wouldn't call that a chip shot by no means, but we're disappointed at the end of the day if we're missing a 400-yard coyote. But it's shooting very good rifles, and it's practice, and we're gaining confidence and we're reaching out there further than we ever have before.
That's cool. So some of us may not understand the custom rifle compared to your regular over-the-counter rifle, whatever it happens to be. Are you talking different bore, longer barrel, shorter barrel? Explain the difference in a custom rifle.
I wouldn't say there's, they're all just a rifled barrel, and and the difference is probably the time put into them, I would say, and the quality of work put into them. I mean, they're not running down a factory assembly line. They're reamed to a thousandths of an inch, and that's probably the difference is they're just so precise, and the chamber jobs. I have, just for instance, my sons, they have a pair of 22 GTs that they're just kind of getting into coyote calling right now. And I mean, I can run the same exact cartridge through both of them, same load, everything. And they're actually a little bit different, but man, they just, they shoot very, very well. And that's probably the biggest thing is just consistency and, the precision of the build. And that's probably what I would say is probably the main difference. And you got a master gunsmith working on every one. So that's probably the biggest difference from a factory rifle.
How about weight? Heavier, lighter, about the same?
That's probably preference. I mean, if like that 6 PRC, for instance, it's way lighter than my 243 Ackley, and I kind of wish it was a little heavier because it barks. It barks at you a little bit more than the 243 Ackley. You're shooting a 90 grainer at 3,700 feet a second, and it don't sound like much, but you're shooting a Magnum cartridge, and they like to jump at you. So I mean, it's probably all preference. I mean, the heavier the better, but then you got to get into I got to pack that thing in and out of sets, all day. So that's, I mean, it's a fine line of what you're capable of doing, and also kind of how much recoil you want and whatnot.
Yeah, and if people don't like, you guys are all shooting TS Customs, and Travis does a heck of a job with those guns, and it's you guys. I think there's more to it. I mean, it's the stocks, the barrels are bedded. I mean, you've got trigger jobs, you've got better. Your bolt runs nice. You got shorter pulls. I mean, there's a lot to it, but like I think you hit it best, Lonnie. It's all kind of what you want, especially when you're building a custom. You work with a guy like Travis Stevens, and he's talking to you, know what you want to do, and figuring out that caliber, figuring out that gun you're going to use it for. And I mean, he does a great job, and he runs some great rifles, and he's a heck of a coyote hunter himself.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Nope.
I wouldn't hunt against him. You might rig your next gun if you're in a contest against him.
Well, you mentioned contest. Let's bring up the Predator Hunters Coyote Cup coming up here real soon. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we got the Coyote Cup that we started last year, and we kind of, Chad's a traditional caller, no video stuff, because he's the guy that struggled with the grandma's camera, and so he. But we wanted to make it open to these guys that are filming. So that's why we kind of went to a 3-man tournament. So if they want to have 3 gunners, if they want to have a camera guy, it's $400. It's up there an entry fee for a coyote tournament. And what was the high stakes one you guys hunted? That's up there in price money too, but that pays some big money for the high stakes tournament you guys have.
It was 500 to enter, and I don't remember what the first place payout was on it, but it was right around 4,000. What that contest paid.
Yeah, and so basically we designed this thing more like a fishing tournament, and get these guys that have some bigger that want to go play and be able to film, or go hunt with 3 guys and just kind of change it up. And that's coming up February 9th and 10th. The rules meeting is at Tiger's Tap. Kevin's on tonight. Thanks for hosting us, Kevin. And I know Lonnie's probably coaching wrestling more nowadays with the boys, but I'm sure Dakota will be down there, and the rest of the crew will be around to hunt it. And it's a lot of fun. So check out our website, our Facebook page, or our website, the Predator Hunter Association, for more information on that. But, you get into these contests, and, these guns, are you guys loading most of the guns, you're loading your own ammo. I mean, you're not just buying factory ammo for these custom guns as well.
All of us are reloading our ammo. So, and then, that's the next step after you go and get a custom gun, is just like Lonnie said, every gun will shoot a little bit different. You can take the exact same caliber gun, both made by Travis to the exact same specs, and they're going to shoot bullets just a little bit different in them. The harmonics of how the barrels shoot the guns are going to be different. So you tweak on your loads and you find a load that works in your gun and go from there. But that's an important part of reaching out there and shooting too.
Well, like you said it, you practice, right? You're not just going grabbing a gun and going out coyote calling. You're practicing, and that's a big thing. Trigger time is a big thing, especially if you're taking these 800, 700 yard shots, or even the 400, 500 yard shots, because these coyotes, from when I've been out, they don't sit still very long. So, they might hold up for a while, but a lot of times they're not sitting still very long, and you got to be on them and get ready to go. So confidence behind your barrel or behind your scope is a big thing,
Yep.
We're talking about all of this too, right? But you can go out and kill a coyote with a 22 250, Remington if you want to. I mean, some of them coyotes are going to come in, and some of them are going to give you that shot, and it's that simple. So we don't want to ever discourage anybody from, taking your dad's gun off the shelf and going out and calling coyotes. More power to you. But as you progress in the game, if you want to get better, better equipment and upgrading and practicing, and that's when all of that starts coming into play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that you brought that up, because it just like anything, whether it's golf, you start out with a cheap set of golf clubs. Fishing, you start out with a Zebco 33, and who cares what the rod is, and you find out that you got to step up your game, and you got to get into it a little bit more. And I would guess that the passion for the sport also leads you to want custom loads, custom guns, and you want to give yourself the best opportunity for success. So it would make sense to do that, but I'm guessing it's pretty costly, no matter how you do it, even if you're reloading on your own.
Yeah. I mean, the sky is probably the limit, really. It's kind of like your fishing rods. I know you can probably buy some that are, $25, or you can buy some that are probably 300 or plus or whatever. And it's the same thing with rifles. There's, and the companies have done a pretty good job with making it so that people can get into custom rifles with with kind of budget friendly. Like, it's still going to cost you some money, but I mean, there's some good lower grade stock upgrades. There's some good intro actions. There's some, there's barrels that you could buy that are chambered or that are cut for those actions, prefits that are cheaper than others. And triggers, they have, like Trigger Tech, they have one, a primary that's probably their low grade one. And then they have a diamond, which is their, that primary is probably $100, and the diamond's like right around 300. So, I mean, it's, they make it so that you can build a custom rifle on a kind of a budget, but it's like anything, like you said, that you're probably gonna upgrade at some point because things are nicer, and it's just it's kind of a wormhole. So that you just keep getting sucked into, and it's, one of those deals.
Okay, so let's go down the hole. How about optics?
Yep. Optics are the same way. You can, like I said, you can get into probably a $500 Vortex Venom, or you can buy a $3,500 Night Force ATACR. So, I mean, it's, and there's a pretty substantial difference between the two, and but they both get the job done, and that's, it's really whatever you can afford. And like Dakota said, it's one of those deals where it's nice having the stuff we do, but it's, you can still get your old trusty, your first rifle you ever had, and your whatever it is, Remington, Savage, whatever, and go out and still be successful, but maybe not quite as much with the other one.
Well, it must come down to confidence too, because when I was a kid, I started deer hunting with a 30-30 Savage. It was open sights, and Dad kept telling me I needed a scope and I needed a 308 because that's what he shot, that's what he used. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm good with this 30-30, and I could hit a deer at 120 yards, 75 yards, whatever. I was just confident with it, and I never wanted to leave it. I would guess it'd be the same with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Confidence is key, and really, no matter what you do in life, if you're playing basketball, if you're shooting coyotes, if you're getting on a bucking horse, right? Confidence is where it is. So,
Well, I'm not getting on a bucking horse.
right? That's the good thing about custom rifles is you can build them to however you want them built. You know, barrel,
Dakota's
size,
probably
caliber.
Dakota's probably the guy that it probably took him the longest, but he is the grandson of Pete Longbrake, so it probably took him the longest to get switched over, and he had his trusty 22-250 forever.
Yeah, I shot nothing but a 22-250 till I was, I don't know, 23 years old probably.
It worked, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said it like we don't want to discourage people. So let's talk about it a little bit. Like coyote hunting, like it's a great sport. And really, if you have that rifle, it doesn't take much to get into coyote hunting. You can get in with a set of, $30 hand calls and mouth calls and learn how to do it. So I kind of, it's like fishing. A guy can go ice fishing for a couple $100, pretty easy, but then you graduate to, thousands upon thousands of dollars, as you get into it. But talk about, like, for an entry-level guy, like, what would you guys recommend for somebody that maybe watching tonight that's like, I've always wanted to do this, but I don't know where to start?
On whatever gun you're most comfortable shooting, you can go kill a coyote with it. You can get big and overkill and then shoot a 7mm mag or something, but them are still absolutely going to shoot coyotes. You're going to want to be confident, within a couple 100 yards, probably, especially here in South Dakota in the wide open. If you're going to just go get started, you need to go get hand calls, and you need to practice with them hand calls and know how to use them and know how to make them sound, like a rabbit, like a bird, like a howling coyote, like a whining coyote, like a challenge bark. And all of that, again, takes practice on the equipment you're using. Or you take it one step further and you go by a electronic call, which has a huge variety of sounds on them anymore. Any electric call you're going to get is going to come equipped with 60 sounds on them, anything from rabbits to birds to squirrels to all kinds of different coyote sounds. So, I would probably recommend getting an electric call, but don't ever lose the art. You should know how to use hand calls before you start just tearing into electric calls. Maybe that's my old school thinking, but right, it was 36 below zero here a few weeks ago, and right, things don't always work when it's that cold. Then what are you gonna do?
Right.
Well, and like that, right? Like, Chad said, there's times that them coyotes don't react to the sound on the call, on the e-caller, but you get on your hand call and they react different. So, and they react sometimes. It might be just a different pitch. It might be something, So yeah, I think you need to learn that art of that. That's a big part of it. Take the time. YouTube is great, right? I guarantee you can get on YouTube and find a tutorial on every sound you want to make on a hand call. And that's a great thing. So these, young kids or whatever that want to get into this thing, and you guys got boys that hunt it, and my favorite picture ever is Rocky's boy on top of the Jeep throwing the 6 kites off when he won the youth tournament. 11 years old, and he goes out and shoots 6 coyotes himself, and that was the coolest thing ever, watching him stand up there and throw those coyotes off that Jeep. And he's a quiet kid. I don't think he's ever said 2 words to me. But kids are, and you raise them in the world of hunting, and they learn it. And I'm sure they're out there asking questions and learning this stuff. So people that don't have that, like me, I grew up over in the eastern part of the state, and I remember going coyote hunting and put a rabbit in distress. And I think we called in 1 coyote on an e-collar, and it held up at like 500 yards, and it wouldn't even do anything. And I didn't know what else to do. So all I knew was rabbit in distress on that thing, and it wouldn't do anything. So when you're out there, like, I don't want you guys to give anything away that you guys do, because you guys got a lot of time and stuff in this, but like a set for you. Like, if you're going out, are you starting with a challenge call? Are you starting with a rabbit? Or what are you guys doing on a set? Or give some people some ideas of what to do if they're going out for the first time.
Probably the main thing before you even go out and make a coyote set, especially if you're just getting into it, is you need to probably go do a little bit of scouting. I mean, you're not going to call a single coyote in if there's not coyotes there. And that's probably the main thing. There's gotta be coyotes there. And, there, you can do that with, just driving around and visually seeing them or looking for scat or doing some locating or whatnot and during the night. And, there's different ways there to kind of find the coyotes, but there absolutely needs to be coyotes where you're calling. And then you can kind of go in and figure out where you're going to set up at and stuff. But that's probably the main thing. But as far as sequence, I mean, really, if you go back to, Randy Anderson's philosophy, I mean, if you're a beginner caller, that's pretty good philosophy. I mean, he would howl to begin with, then go into some distress. And then if still nothing came, then go into some coyote distress. And that's really a great technique. And you can call coyotes in all time of year with that technique. And really it's something that just works. And I mean, there's some other things that we do probably, but there's, that's a great technique to start with. And like I said, you're going to call coyotes in if they're there, guaranteed.
That's always a good go-to.
Well, and that's great. And, like I said, I'm a very novice coyote hunter because I just done it a few times with Chad, but, wind matters, how you walk into your set matters, these things. Chad Keel always tells me, and I love his statement, when the end of the world comes, the last two things will be a coyote and a cockroach. That's the last two things running this earth, and because they are smart. So it's not, you got to walk, go through like walking into a set for people that have never done this. I mean, or how you look at a set or, wind or what, all the scenarios, that stuff.
Wind is probably hands down the biggest thing that you need to know about when you're hunting coyote. You need to know which way the wind's coming from and which way the downwind is. And if you're facing straight into the wind, and it's behind you, that's probably ideal. But if you're hunting any kind of a crosswind, you better be able to see to your downwind side, because more than likely them coyotes are going to start circling, downwind. They're good, right? A coyote can pick you up and smell you at 400 yards. Sometimes, right? Sometimes they still come into 20 yards and you can still get them, but we've had them stick their nose in the air and smell us, way, way, way out there and leave. You see a lot of things on the internet and people asking about this question, right? Sets. How do I set up? Where do I set up? What do I look for on sets? And I think one of the biggest things people do, in my opinion, and it's hard because you're not there, but movement, right? If you're moving your arms, if you're moving anything, coyotes are absolutely excellent at picking you up. If you are slipping over the hill and slipping into a set and you're being loud, setting your call out, or you're doing anything, if a coyote sees you or smell you, it's over, right? Them coyotes are absolutely not coming in. You see a lot of things on the internet where a coyote's sitting out there 400 yards barking at somebody. And more than likely, that coyote's seen. I think that's the thing that people let go most of the time and don't pay enough attention to is getting in there, getting quiet, and being still the whole length of your hunt. If you're seeing it's over.
Yeah, that's so big. And guys, like I said, they can get into these, there's tournaments every weekend, right? I mean, if you get on Facebook, there's something out there for everybody. I mean, there's 24 hours, there's shoot everything you can, and there's all kinds of different tournaments out there. So, and then you can roll up to the, the Predator Hunters Association or, the high stakes stuff that's out there. What's your guys' thought on that big dog contest that just happened this last weekend? That was kind of unique. That was a completely different method of coyote turn. I mean, there've been other big dog tournaments or big pair tournaments, but that's a different little way of doing things.
Absolutely. That was those guys are some of those guys that I'm talking about that are really good coyote callers. really can get some high numbers killed and whatnot. And but that was a great new thing to do. Probably. I mean, I seen that contest, and if we weren't probably pretty loyal to Jeremy and his high stakes one, I'd definitely, and if it wasn't on the same weekend, I definitely would have gotten that one. That's a cool way to do it. It kind of gives everybody a chance as well. And, I think that's what it takes, because anymore, it seems like these coyote calling contests are they're getting lower numbered and whatnot. And I think we got to kind of, change the way that we're doing them to keep them going, because they really are a cool thing. I mean, you go to your first coyote calling contest, and your first time you place, you just never forget those things. And it's competition, and it's who did the best homework and all that, and it's just cool. And I think that's a great way to keep people involved. And like the 3-dog contest and the 4-dog contest, I mean, all those are really good ways to keep people involved and keep them entering. And that's what it's all about, because not everybody might not have the best ground to hunt. And heck, I mean, shoot, I shot this last weekend, we only killed 3. So I mean, we didn't have a very good day, and we didn't see very many that day either. So I mean, we didn't do a very good job with our homework. So I mean, it's a good thing to keep those kind of contests going.
Chad's contest this weekend is just, or not this week, excuse me, but it's just a 4 coyote contest, right?
No, it's most dogs.
This is a most dogs.
Yep. It's a most dog contest, and tiebreaker off of weight, big dog, little dog. So me and Chad have talked about different things over the years, trying to figure out how to continue to grow this sport, because I mean, Chad's like you guys. This was second nature. When you weren't doing something, you're going coyote hunting. So I was going fishing, and I jumped on as the guy to help with. As the guy to help to jump on. I know the tournament side of stuff. So we got a question: easier to call male or female dogs, and percentage?
The month of February is coming up here, and they, they're going to start pairing up, and they're going to start mating. That's probably the only time of the year where I would say maybe it's a little bit easier to call a male. Males are just a little more active, I guess, then. But
we're just dumb.
Yeah. Throughout the rest of the year, I would say it's probably about the same calling in a male or calling in a female coyote.
Yeah, and so these guys that go out there and they're setting up and calling and getting discouraged, like I said, Lonnie hit it best. Do your homework, right? Do the homework on the stuff, because if you go fishing a pond with no fish and you get mad, what happened? You didn't do your homework. So I think that was a huge takeaway from tonight. One more thing before we guys run here: thermals. What's your thought on the thermal world? What's your guys' thought on that whole side of the new era of coyote hunting with thermals?
I like it. I probably like it for a selfish way, but I'm pretty busy nowadays with my kids, and I coach high school wrestling as well. So my real big winter push of daytime coyote calling is kind of not there anymore. And so it's nice. Like tonight, I have plans to go out with one of my buddies, and getting his scope sighted in tonight and stuff. And actually, this is not, I'm not lying, but just as if you were asking that question, there's some coyotes right over here that are howling, and we're gonna go pick on them here tonight. But they've been over there for a while now. But anyways, I like it. I do think that the coyotes are eventually, depending on pressure. Well, I know they will, because just from the reports I've been getting from the guys on the east side of the state, I do think it's gonna get to a point where they're gonna get smarter and probably adapt to it as well. But right now, I mean, it's pretty electric. I mean, where we're at, there's not a lot of people who do it, and they are very, very vulnerable. So I mean, it's a big thing for South Dakota, just kind of newly getting into it, but it's a lot of fun. So I like it, but I do think that they will become like daytime coyotes. And really, just to take a step back, they are pretty dang smart at night too. I mean, they still don't just come in every time. I mean, they're pretty good. They're pretty good there too.
How about tonight's full moon? I guess technically it's probably, it would be tonight, or maybe it's technically tomorrow night, but I know we've got a lot of fog over here in the eastern part of the state. Does the full moon help or hinder coyote hunting?
It hinders it.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, the full moon hinders daytime hunting and nighttime.
Really?
Yeah.
So nighttime hunting, it's just brighter. The coyotes can just see you easier. The darker it is, the easier it is for you to hide at night. They can pick you out a lot easier at night. And coyotes seem to be more active at night during a full moon too. They can stay longer. During the daytime after a full moon, in my opinion, coyotes are out all night, out on the run on a full moon, and they're just less active the next day, when it's really bright out. So.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But you're hearing them talk, so you're gonna go get them.
Yep, right on.
Gonna try. I mean, like I said, it don't always go. It ain't always 100%, but it's pretty effective.
Lonnie's done his scouting tonight.
Right from this room.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. Well, you know what, fellas, it's been great having you. How do we follow you and follow the coyote culture and follow the Cheyenne River predator hunters?
Yeah, you could just follow us on our Facebook page, Cheyenne River Predator Hunters. We do have an Instagram. It's CRPH Coyote Culture. That's kind of just my deal, but I put everything to the page, and as well as our YouTube channel and on Carbon TV. And that's kind of our main deals, or follow us on Facebook as well. But mainly on the page is kind of where we do everything, and where you'll be able to see our new videos come out.
Fantastic. Exciting. Well, it's been good to talk coyotes. It's fun to talk about something else. I learned a ton tonight. It was just a whole lot of fun, a heap of fun. And of course, with the Predator Hunter Coyote Cup coming up, good luck to everybody, and have a safe winter. Enjoy. I hear we're going to have warmer weather. They're talking 45, 50 degrees. So winter's going away, and whatever. I guess we're getting March weather. Just hope we don't get all that snow.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Well, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Take care.